Welcome into Eagle Bank Arena on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in Fairfax, Virginia for some EIVA volleyball as George Mason hosts number 2 Penn State. I'm Josh Yourish here with George Mason women's volleyball coach Aylene Ilkson. And Coach, George Mason, big win on Friday night, moved them to 8-10 overall, 3-5 in the EIVA, and it's been their sophomore, Omar Hoyos, who's really led the way for them.
Omar has done such a great job. He's the only Patriot who's played in every single set and match this season. He's amassed 213 kills on the season, and he has about 3 kills per set, which is so impressive. But it's not just that. It's that he's great on every side of the ball. He's a primary passer, aggressive from the attack, from the service line, and the Patriots are really going to need him to step up tonight.
Penn State, on the other side, enters the match as the number 2 team in the nation, the highest they've been ranked since 2009, on a 12-match win streak, 16-3, perfect 9-0 in EIVA play, and it's been Cal Fisher who's really been their star.
Cal Fisher has just been outstanding all season long, 223 kills, but he's hitting at 321 on the season, which just means he does not make errors. That's what's so impressive about his game. He's incredibly efficient. He knows how to terminate, and yes, he has a lot of help from other teammates, but anytime he's gotten in the ball, he puts it away, which is so outstanding for the Nittany Lions.
George Mason trying to pull off this upset today, coached by Jay Hosick in his 7th season.
Jay is dealing with a mixture of veterans and young players, but they're trying to find some rhythm, especially after that great win on Friday night. They're trying to use that momentum and really pull into today's match. If an upset at home against Penn State would put them on a great path to continue winning in the EIVA.
And then on the other side, it's Mark Pavlik in his 28th year at Penn State. And year 28 is going pretty good so far.
Year 28 is going outstanding for Pav. They have dropped only 9 sets in 19 matches, which is absolutely incredible. And no matter what, what's interesting about this coaching dynamic is that Jay Hosick used to work for Mark Pavlik at Penn State, so they know each other really well, and tonight will be no exception in that battle.
We'll take a look at the starting lineups as they're starting to announce the George Mason Patriots here at Eagle Bank Arena. Penn State on the other side, it'll be number 4, Michael Valenzi. Number 6, their setter, Cole Bogner. Brett Wildman on the outside, number 12. Sam Marsh, number 14. Toby Ezionu, who's their second leader in kills behind Cal Fisher, their middle blocker, number 18. And then Cal Fisher, number 19, at the opposite hitter position. Will Bantle, number 20, their libero. George Mason getting announced right now. Trevor Kennan, number 4, their libero. Lucas Little up the middle, leads the team in blocks. Omar Hoyos, number 7, the sophomore. We talked about him in the pregame. Troy McDonald, the freshman setter, who's really taken over for Zach Talamoa since halfway through the season and has made this George Mason offense more effective. Richie Hoff, number 12, on the outside. Jack Bowles, number 17, at the opposite hitter position. Colin Heath, number 19, and Sam Peters, number 23, up the middle. You see the Patriots getting ready now. Coach, what's it going to take from George Mason today? You mentioned Penn State, they've only dropped, what, 9 sets all year?
9 sets.
What's it going to take a set from Penn State, let alone steal this match?
They're going to have to be incredibly efficient attacking-wise. They're going to need to get every hitter going, not just Hoyos. They're going to need to get Bowles and Hoff really efficient from the start. Troy McDonald's going to need to figure out who he's got on fire, what's going to happen. The other thing is they're going to need to block and play some great defense. With the heavy arms that Penn State has and the efficiency they have when they're attacking, Mason is going to have to do a great job both blocking and defending against that. I mean, the service game is always kind of a wild card in men's volleyball because everybody's going out and serving aggressively. But no matter what, for the Patriots to upset Penn State, they're going to need to play highly, highly efficient volleyball today.
It is March Madness, so we might see a number 2 seed go down today. Not quite the tournament for men's volleyball, but, you know, the basketball tournament's going on. It's the season of upsets. George Mason looking to pull one off of their own. Looks like we're almost ready.
I will say, looking around, Penn State did travel well, whether that's the fact that 2 of their starters are actually from Virginia or just they're Penn State. They're rolling in conference play, and honestly, being on a 12-match win streak is very impressive, especially with who they've faced recently out of Penn State and back-to-back matches against number 13 Ohio State. So this is definitely, the stage is set for a very good match tonight.
They've certainly filled him in here at Eagle Bank Arena. George Mason always moves this Penn State matchup to Eagle Bank from the rack to set the scene. Cal Fisher gonna start things off. The southpaw from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I always got to mention that. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I used to race Cal Fisher in track. And a kill there for Brett Wildman to start things off.
That's the kind of stuff that Mason is really going to have to stay away from. It was just, I'm sure, some early nerves coming from the serve and pass, but this serve from Cal Fisher is not overly aggressive. They need to be able to handle passes like this every time.
Fisher will do it again. That time Heath fared a little better. Back set to Hoyos, dug out by Valenzi. Bogner sets Wildman, goes cross court a little bit too far, but he did get a touch.
Wildman has just been so efficient for the Nittany Lions recently. He has been extraordinary from the attack line every time. Against their win over Ohio State, he was 10-0-19, hitting .526, which was so impressive. And the night before that, he had 17 kills, hitting .367. So Wildman is no slouch when it comes to offensive production.
Fisher sends that one a little bit long. That'll be the first point for Mason, and Omar Hoyos back to the service line. The two key contributors that we talked about in the pregame, starting their sides off from the service line.
It's always an interesting coaching tactic, is that either you want your best attackers going into the front row, or do you want them behind the service line, especially when they're great passers like they are. So always some tactic behind that, but they also could be looking for blocking matchups.
Take a look at the kill up the middle, Sam Marsh. Colin Heath couldn't get there. 3-1 Penn State. That'll send Wildman back. An aggressive serve there. Colin Heath plays it up. McDonald cross court to Richie Hoff, who's stuffed.
I will talk a little bit about Sam Marsh. On this season, he's hitting .409, which is really good for a middle. He does it on the blocking side too. You can see right there in that highlight, he's just such a good mover side to side, gets his hands over the net for that press. So offense and defense is what they're getting out of Sam Marsh today.
Wildman again. Penn State ahead 4-1 now. And he just missed that one off the side of his hand right into the back of Michael Valenzi's head. He put his hand up to apologize.
At least they have some good spirits about that.
So that's why they put their hands on the back of their head.
Yes, to avoid concussions from getting rocked in the back of their head from aggressive serving.
Lucas Little back to serve. Wildman, Bogner, outside Valenzi, a little bit behind him.
That was a little bit off. I think Bogner is actually looking to set Valenzi off the net a little bit, give him some space to see the block, just a misconnection on that one.
Little again. Wildman, Bogner, up the middle, Marsh, off the block, kept alive. Hoyos plays it up. McDonald back set to Bowles, and he hammers that one in front of Cal Fisher. That's a fun matchup to think about. Jack Bowles, the big lefty, the redshirt sophomore for George Mason. Cal Fisher on the other side, the other opposite. I feel like they're pretty similar styles, both big lefties. That matchup will be fun to watch today.
Absolutely, and Mason's gonna need Jack Bowles to get on a run early and get some hot hands going. This is some great serving out of the Patriots right now, though.
Fisher goes soft and is kept alive. Hoff tries to go down the line, dug out by Fisher. Set a little bit long. Now Hoyos will try to set. That goes too far. Kept alive, long volley developing. Hoyos will get the kill off the block.
That last play was a lot of back and forth, some non-setters setting those out-of-system balls. You could see Coach Hossack a little bit more concerned about the touches his team's getting on the balls right now.
5-4 George Mason on a 4-0 scoring run. Little again. That one set over the net. Bowles takes a big swing and misses long.
Little did a really nice job in that run of serves, just putting it on them, keeping it aggressive, and really making the Penn State passers work for it.
Bowles just unable to keep that down. 5-5 now. Sam Marsh back to serve, the middle blocker. 6'7" freshman. Heath, McDonald outside Hoff. Bogner to the back row. Wildman looking for a touch. After some discussion, he didn't get it.
The officials are having a word with Bogner just about I think was Mason in the net before the contact was made out of bounds?
Discussion over here with the official, Bogner. The point will stay with George Mason. 6-5, and Jack Bowles will serve. Valenzi, Bogner, back row, Wildman.
With an exclamation point on that.
Gave the official a little look after that one.
Clearly Penn State knew that they wanted that last point, and Wildman just put an exclamation mark on that kill, like no question there.
Yeah.
No net, no nothing.
Cole Bogner to serve. Off the net, the ricochet gave some problems to Colin Heath.
Colin Heath is just going to need to settle down a little bit more. It's actually these off-speed kind of shots that are giving him a little bit more trouble. These serves that are coming hard and fast, he's eating those right up, but it's these off-speed ones that are causing a little bit of confusion.
7-6 Penn State. Heath handles that one nicely. McDonald outside to Hoff again. Through the blockers, gets it to go. Richie Hoff, his second kill. They're feeding him a lot early.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea from Troy McDonald. He's mixing it up. He's giving it to everybody. Omar Hoyos rotating into the front row now, but you're going to have a split from him giving balls both to the outside and then behind him on that D ball, as opposed to Penn State, who right now is running this very interesting, we'd call it an A ball, but it's like in left back, essentially. They're just running it a little further in that trips up the block because they're not sure whether they're setting the outside or they're setting the back row.
Valenzi to serve. Hoyos. McDonald to Bowles from the back row. The block's there. Really the first we've seen of Ezeonu. Toby Ezeonu, the middle blocker for Penn State. And
Mason is going to want to keep Ezeonu real quiet this game. He hits at an incredible percentage. On Friday night against Princeton, he hit .583, 8 kills on 0 errors on 12 attempts. He is incredibly efficient. He's a great blocker, and every night he is contributing for Penn State. So the less Mason sees him getting the ball, the better.
Wildman, Bogner, Cal Fisher. Bowles digs it out. Bump set from Sam Peters. Hoyos gets the kill.
Sam Peters are going to be thrilled about the assist on the stat sheet just then.
Middle blocker's not going to get many of those, but he did a nice job with the bump set, and then Hoyos able to work it through the arms of Ezeonu.
That triple block was really set up for Penn State, so it was great that Hoyos could get that through.
Wildman is stuffed, but he gets the kill off the block. McDonald was there. Toby Ezeonu back to serve. Heath, McDonald up the middle. Lucas Little, it's kept alive. Marsh from off the net. Everyone in the gym wants a carry. Not going to get it. Pancake attempt from Omar Hoyos. Point to Penn State. And a nice job by Coach Aylene to get the volleyball dugout from underneath our setup over here.
And then just threw it on the court. Yeah, everybody in the gym thought that was going to be a carry. But if the refs call it early, then that's the whole game right there. So they're going to let them play.
Up the middle to Little. Gets the kill.
Really fired up about that. And I think Troy McDonald's going to do a good job if he can keep those middles engaged and make sure that he's feeding them a good amount. That was a fantastic set, and you could see on that replay, Wildman was just a little caught off guard that they were going that direction.
Bogner back set to Fisher, down the line, gets the kill. Not much you can do about that.
No, you could see Little lean the other way, thinking that maybe Bogner was going to feed it to his middle, and then he reversed it to Cal Fisher, giving him a one-on-one, and there's no question there.
Penn State ahead, 12-10. Fisher back to the service line. And sails that one long.
Prior to Friday night's win over St. Francis, Mason had been on a brutal spring break trip to California where they not only faced some incredible teams, but unfortunately they just couldn't seem to find a rhythm. So it's great that they're coming back home in EIVA play, hopefully learned a bit from playing some of those better California teams and are trying to, make their mark with a win today.
Hoff.
That one just ricochets off Hoff on the block.
Point to Penn State again. Doesn't seem like Mason's been intimidated by the Nittany Lions in this first set. They've hung around, certainly.
For sure, and I think they're doing a nice job right now. Before that last kill, they were kind of hitting in a good spot, and that's what Mason needs. Their percentages need to be at least above a 250 as a team to really compete against these teams, and that was the problem in California. They were hitting 035, 085 on some of those matches, and that was what doomed them. So tonight, they're going to want to find a way to hit efficiently, find their kills, use the Penn State block. They're not afraid of it. They've already done it a couple times, and they're going to need to keep going after it.
We saw a big ace there from Wildman. They'll look for another. Heath plays that up. McDonald to Bowles off the block.
Exactly.
Just like you said.
That's exactly. Bowles did a great, that is a great kill from Bowles. And he's just using that block. And if Penn State doesn't press and they just go high, that's what they're going to get every time.
Big serve there from Little. Bogner to Valenzi, goes cross court and doesn't get it to go. And that'll send us to break. 15-12. Penn State out to the early lead. Immediately out, I believe. Some confusion on the court here at Eagle Bank.
When you need medical care, ask Centera Medical Group first. Whether by phone, a virtual visit, or in-office appointment, our offices are open, following strict safety guidelines and implementing additional safety measures to ensure you are safe and comfortable. From minor illnesses to more complex cases, our comprehensive care teams are available 24/7 to deliver the quality, personalized care you need when you need it most. Don't wait to get the care you need. Ask Centera Medical Group first. Schedule your appointment today.
Back here at Eagle Bank Arena, George Mason and Penn State. I'm Josh Yourish alongside Coach Aylene Ilkson. A little bit of confusion going into the break with the media timeout, but Penn State, the first of 15, ahead 15-13. It's been Brett Wildman. We talked about Cal Fisher in the start. He only has one kill, hitting 250, so still a nice start, but Wildman has 4 kills and an ace.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great start for Penn State, but it isn't surprising. What Mason is doing a great job doing is just staying with them, and I would have said that from the beginning. They just don't need Penn State to go on any long point runs. That's usually where we've seen Mason struggle in the past to come back from. But Penn State, again, is doing a good job. 6-2-15, hitting 267. It's honestly below their average right now, but I think the game has kind of actually been a little bit more block and defense than we've seen. So after this timeout, it's a race to 20 and then on to 25.
Sam Marsh to serve. Hoff couldn't handle it too well, went into the George Mason bench.
That's not what you want after a timeout. Granted, it was a media timeout. Nobody called that, but, you know, you're hoping
That's
for
impressive, too, from the service line to be able to come out of a timeout like that. Get that ace. Marsh again. Hoff takes it out. Heath will set Hoff. Marsh handles that. Wildman has to set. Everyone wants a double contact. They don't call that either. Hoyos from the back row. It's kept alive. Bogner to the middle. Ezionu gets the best of the George Mason block.
So now Troy McDonald, the floor captain for Mason, is going to want to ask about a double contact. We're seeing the great finish from Ezionu from that Penn State, from that highlight. But they're talking about the previous play with Wildman setting the second ball. And the thing right now is that, especially in men's volleyball, they're just not calling doubles. That's not part of the game. And honestly, the same thing is sort of transitioning to women's volleyball. The big thing about doubles is, like, if your teammate can hit a terribly set ball, then what's the harm? Like, it's only hurting your team. And some people, you know, the argument is like it's not keeping the game clean and things like that. But I think the officials might get into trouble if they start calling doubles really early. Then it's going to be a tight game.
So they're going to let those go. What is typically the rule with the double contact? I know it has something to do with how many rotations you get.
Yep, it comes out of your hand, touching both hands, hence the double. And that's when it comes out. You can tell, especially on the men's ball, the way the shaping is on it. When it comes out clean, there's just no spin on it. Nothing happens. You can see whenever Bogner, McDonald said it, there's minimal spin on it. And so that's the big difference with the double. When you see non-setters set it,
you get a little more rotation there.
Just a little bit.
And a timeout here by Coach Hosick, a big block by Ezionu as we were talking about that. Stuffing Hoyos.
Ezionu just doing such a good job of pressing over, and he was waiting. He knew, he could see where Troy McDonald was pushing it, and he knew Hoyos was getting that ball, so it was an impressive block. And that is exactly what we talked about earlier. You don't want Ezionu to get going early. He just got a kill and then a block, and this is just trouble for Mason.
It hasn't been Cal Fisher so far for Penn State. It's been all the ancillary pieces around him, which is even more scary for George Mason because you know Fisher's eventually going to get his. It feels like Penn State is kind of the heavyweight boxer that's feeling out their opponent, and then right out of that media timeout, they jumped on them because a 4-0 run right out of the timeout, and then Coach Hosick calls the timeout to try to slow that momentum. You mentioned try to hang around, don't let there be runs, and then there's a big run by Penn State.
Right, and I think you're totally correct. Penn State is a great team and can clearly see and adjust to how the game's developing. So they were waiting to see, like, who are they really going to set? Who are they going to get going? And right now, Mason is not really clear. They want to get Hoyos going, and I'm sure they want to get Bowles going, but Penn State's just being patient about it. They're not jumping to conclusions. They're trusting, at least from the blocking perspective, of that they can wait a little longer and then move quickly out and hopefully get their hands up and over instead of guessing and leaving players one-on-one, which has been a little bit of the trouble with Mason right now. They're just not as efficient blocking, and it's so hard when you have legitimately 4 hitters at all time on Penn State's roster or on the floor that could get a kill, and that's tricky.
Sam Marsh will serve out of this timeout. Still on this service run. Point to Coach Hosick. That's
Yes.
always your role.
Great work, Jay.
A service error out of a timeout. That point goes to the coach. That's not an official volleyball rule. That's an Aylene Ilkson rule.
Correct. That's just my rule. But I tell it to all of my players when they're coaching travel. I'm like, that's you. It's your only time. Calling good
You always
timeouts.
go get your high fives after you get it, too.
Yeah.
I know. I make sure to see that. Bogner sets back row. Wildman didn't get a lot on that. Heath sets to the outside to Hoff. Looking for a touch.
And actually, it was a net call.
Going to be a net violation on Penn State.
Bogner, yeah. And this is what Mason needs coming out of the timeout. And honestly, what's so scary about Penn State is they are hitting so below their average right now at 263 and with a 3-point lead that I can't imagine if the train were to get rolling for Penn State what it would look like.
Fisher.
Like that, I think. Like that.
Yeah. I would imagine that's exactly how Penn State wants to draw it up, getting Fisher.
We've actually talked about this rotation that Mason is in right now, though, and I really love it because they have great options in Jack Bowles from the back row, which is always hard to defend, and Hoyos coming in the pipe. And I think Richie Hoff is always a good, high-efficient hitter from the outside. So I love this rotation that Mason is in right now.
McDonald will go to Bowles from the back row, and he just
Ooh, I thought he had a touch on that, but nothing.
didn't
Just
get a touch.
went a little long. I like Troy McDonald's decision on that, though. I think he's like still trying to find really the hot hand, which is a bit of a struggle right now, as Hoff has 3 kills, Bowles has 2 kills, Hoyos with 1, Little with 1. So a little bit of a predicament right now for the freshman Troy McDonald.
And it's starting to get late in this first set to get somebody going. Penn State up 20-15. Sam Peters gets that kill.
Right now, it's just what's so funny in this match is just the production is pretty low for both teams. It's odd that there are only eight kills for the set so far for both teams.
Hoff handled nicely there by Bantle. Valenzi sends it over free. They just couldn't get it in system. McDonald to the back row. Hoff didn't have a lot on that. Bogner to the middle.
Ezionu looked like he misconnected on that one. He was almost jumping too high. But I think what Coach Hosek is going to want to talk about is how they're not utilizing the free ball that they were given. They unfortunately sent a free ball that they got, ended with a Richie Hoff tip, and that just wasn't what they wanted out of that.
So George Mason calls their second timeout of the set, 21-16 to Penn State. They're getting rolling a little bit. It seems like they're just trying to get started, trying to get the thing rolling on the Penn State side. They're still ahead,
right,
but letting George Mason hang around a little bit, and Coach Hosek certainly wants to clean up those mistakes, because if you get a free ball against a team like Penn State, that's something you have to capitalize on.
Yeah, and I honestly thought it was interesting. The free ball pass itself was handled a little poorly, and then you got to put it right on top of your setter's head so that they can actively be a threat themselves or run the middle, which can always hold blockers. That going for that back row miscommunication just was like so disappointing, I think, because you're gonna need to score and use every advantage you get. And Penn State's not giving up a lot of free balls. Like, I was actually shocked to see him put that over with 2 hands. So, I mean, I think that's definitely something that they're going to need to regroup. And I also think Mason is going to use this no matter what through the rest of their EIVA play. And if this is the strongest competition right now in the EIVA, like, they need to be better about taking care of the little things against the best team so that then they can use it against their upcoming matches in conference play. Penn
State has certainly been the measuring stick for all EIVA opponents. A perfect 9-0, I mentioned pregame, number 2 in the nation. Michael Valenzi will serve out of the timeout. McDonald, back row to Bowles. He gets the kill.
Great kill from Jack Bowles. That was a really smart set by Troy McDonald. And it all started with a very nice pass from Richie Hoff.
And you like that out of a timeout a lot better than what George Mason had last time out of the timeout and out of the media timeout where Penn State went on that 4-0 run.
Correct.
Bobby Fowler now with the service error. Point to Penn State, and with them inching ever closer to 25, you don't want to be giving away those free points on service errors.
Oh, I'm a little bummed that we're not getting Zioni serving. Sorry, I just absolutely...
Ezionu. I put in my reps pregame to make sure I get it right.
I really enjoyed Ezionu's, honestly. His jump float is so great because he's so tall. It comes at a really hard angle. And so I think he's a very good server, and that's such a bummer that that serving sub didn't work out for them, as it didn't work out previously for George Mason either.
That was Tim Herget, number 2 for Penn State. Troy McDonald now will serve. Wildman. Back set to Fisher. That almost looked like a hook shot in basketball. A little unorthodox there from Cal Fisher.
We're just trying to get in as many basketball references due to March.
It's March. I've been watching basketball the past 2 days. You said you have been too. I can't get it out of my head.
We're like, ooh, hook shot, a.k.a. off-speed shot from Cal Fisher for the kill.
Now Cal Fisher to serve. McDonald sets the middle to Little. The quick set seemed to work, beat the Penn State block.
I think that's a smart play. I'm a huge fan of running your middles anytime you can, especially if you can catch them when you're a little out of system and really force them, because usually the block isn't holding. So that was a great decision to put it to little.
Hoyos back to serve. Almost a very impressive play to keep it alive. But the point will go to George Mason.
That was so uncharacteristic of Bogner. I was surprised that he didn't just platform set that back and let one of his attackers just jump and swing. But Mason needs to capitalize on this, get a couple points right here.
23-20, Omar Hoyos. Big serve, Wildman handles that. Bogner, quick to the middle, Marsh.
Wow, Marsh, we have not seen him since like play one of the game. We have not talked about Sam Marsh until early on. I think it was like in their first 4 points of the set was when Marsh was in the mix, but that he just unloaded on that last one.
Got his second kill of the first set. Penn State has a ton of options to go to. They've been utilizing all of them. Will Kuhn subs in, number 17. 24-20, set point. And it's Brett Wildman back to serve. He's had a fantastic first set. Can he finish it off? Not there. Jack Bowles, a meeting at the net. Point will go to Penn State, and they'll close out set number one, 25-20. It's been Brett Wildman all set one. 4 kills and finish it off with a good serve there.
That's such a smart decision from Wildman right there in that tip on that highlight. You can see he goes off speed and it's just as efficient.
Home ownership. It's a dream that SN Mortgage Company makes into a reality every day for borrowers in Northern Virginia and throughout the Mid-Atlantic. We can meet on your level and help develop a home buying plan for any market conditions. So get connected with one of our loan officers and find out what options might be right for you. Visit snmortgage.com/GoMason to learn more and start your journey home.
When you need medical care, ask Centera Medical Group first. Whether by phone, a virtual visit, or in-office appointment, our offices are open, following strict safety guidelines and implementing additional safety measures to ensure you are safe and comfortable. From minor illnesses to more complex cases, our comprehensive care teams are available 24/7 to deliver the quality, personalized care you need when you need it most. Don't wait to get the care you need. Ask Centera Medical Group first. Schedule your appointment today.
If these times have taught us anything, it's that anything is possible, especially at our public schools. Overcoming great adversity, we salute our teachers and students who brought their A game every day. Whatever tomorrow brings, our commitment to public schools is stronger than ever. A win for education. The Virginia Lottery, $11 billion to Virginia's public schools since 1999.
Welcome back into EIVA Volleyball on ESPN Plus here at Eagle Bank Arena. I'm Josh Yourish alongside Coach Aylene Ilkson. Number 2, Penn State taking set number 1, 25-20 from George Mason. The Patriots looking to rebound in this second set. They'll need to get Omar Hoyos going. Only 1 kill in that first set.
Yeah, George Mason's just going to need to figure out who's the hot hand. I was looking to see if Troy McDonald was still coming out.
It looks like it might be Talamo, at least he's talking in the huddle.
Yeah, I just think that they have got to figure out who's going to score points for them, because right now we are seeing a very calm Penn State efficiency numbers. Like only 11 kills for Penn State is pretty low. But for Mason, 10 kills on 6 errors, hitting 174 is not going to beat anybody. And so I think, they're going to need to figure out if Jack Bowles can do it front row and back row. Hoyos just hasn't been set that much, and I'm still wholeheartedly in agreement that the middles, both middles need to be getting set more than they are right now because they're attacking at a pretty good clip, and they have all season. It's just about can they get the ball in their hands and a quick swing every time. So I think, but I think what Mason did a nice job last time doing is sticking with Penn State throughout it. They just need to make sure that they stay with them every point.
Bogner, back set to Cal Fisher. That's how we start off set number 2. Now Fisher will head back to the service line. Does have an ace today. Heath, McDonald, cross court, 2 Bowles. Didn't get it to go. Bogner sets the middle. Sam Marsh. I know you like that rotation for George Mason when Jack Bowles is on the far side, so
Josh,
they just couldn't get it to go.
We have called so many games together that you are correct. A lefty on the outside is hard to block. I love it when our lefties hit on the outside. I love it when Jack Bowles hits on the outside. I think it just gives them such a different look. But again, Penn State doing a good job feeding the middles, and they're just putting it away.
Fisher again. Heath, McDonald, 2 Hoyos. Looking for a touch. I think he got it.
Yep. Definitely high off the Penn State block. Hoyos is going to want to be an example to all the other hitters that they don't necessarily need to swing for power every single time. They should use the Penn State block. They should work in some off-system shots. They need to put points on the board any which way.
Hoyos, Wildman, a little too long. And Bowles finishes it off.
I'll give Hoyos a lot of credit because it's that serve that causes the overpass. It's an aggressive serve, a challenging pass that then sends it back over, and Jack Bowles can just put that away.
2-2 early in set number 2. Omar Hoyos serving again. Bogner, outside Wildman. Some good effort there by George Mason trying to keep it alive, but they couldn't do it. Sails into the stands here at Eagle Bank Arena.
I just think right now in this match, Colin Heath just needs to be doing a little bit more for the Patriots. I think his passing is very hit or miss right now. Like we're either passing a 1 ball, so like close to a shank, or perfect, fine. And then the defense is a little lackluster. His teammates are getting some good balls up, and he's just not following them as much as they could be.
Great serve there from Wildman. Forced a near overpass from Hoyos. (4-2) Penn State. Wildman serving again. 2 aces already today. Make it 3.
Wow, that is incredibly impressive right now, and it is the passing from George Mason that has got to get better. But you can see now, I think, these efficient swings, both from the front row and behind the service line, is why Penn State is 16-3. And some of their losses came to some of the best teams in the country, as the former number 2 UCLA, when they lost to them, and even Southern California, which is the only common loss both of these teams had. Mind you, Penn State kept it a little closer when they played them back in January than when Mason just played them last week. But I think that, Penn State puts it together well over and over, and they're exceptionally consistent, and that's what makes them a great top 5 team.
And we've talked about Cal Fisher a lot. It's been Wildman mostly today. He's no slouch either. He won the EIVA Player of the Year award in 2020. So he certainly has a resume. It's been Fisher more this year, more often. But Wildman has that gear to be a top player and take over a game. We're definitely seeing that today.
And I think, a lot of these players have played together for 3 full years. And especially that connection with Bogner is just, you can see it, that they've been together, that they've played together for 3 years. He knows how to find them and where to find them all the time. And it helps when you have hitters like Wildman, who does smart decisions. He's not always looking to put it into the middle of the floor. He goes off speed. He can change up and go down the line, and it definitely catches people on their heels, which, you know, Penn State, those are the kids that you might see on the national team in the future, just with how efficient they are, how well they're playing at a high level all the time.
Sam Marsh with a good serve. Sends Bowles into one of the tables over there. Seems to be all right. Take a look at the extra effort from Jack Bowles, trying to keep it alive. Crashing into that table on the sideline.
Wow, but you can see that serve from Sam Marsh is coming in at wicked speed. Like, it is just turning so quickly.
A 3-0 run for Penn State. Marsh again, handled very nicely by Hoyos. Bowles, it's kept alive. Nice dig by Fisher. Valenzi off the block gets the kill. George Mason seemed to do everything perfectly, and Penn State was just better on that volley.
That was so impressive on so many rays.
We'll send it to break. George Mason calling a timeout. Penn State all over them in the second set, up 9-3.
Home ownership. It's a dream that SN Mortgage Company makes into a reality every day for borrowers in Northern Virginia and throughout the Mid-Atlantic. We can meet on your level and help develop a home buying plan for any market conditions. So get connected with one of our loan officers and find out what options might be right for you. Visit snmortgage.com/GoMason to learn more and start your journey home.
Welcome to an unwavering heart
and a fighting spirit. To a sound like no other.
Welcome to shaping your future and our world.
Welcome to getting involved and building new friendships.
It's time we got started.
Welcome to the Mason Nation.
Welcome back into Eagle Bank Arena. George Mason just called a timeout, down 9-3. I'm Josh Yourish alongside Coach Aylene Ilkson. And that last point from Penn State, flawless.
Was beautiful. I mean, there were so many things. We immediately started talking about it during the break.
We were just doing the broadcast on the break,
right,
talking about how good that was.
So impressed by it. First of all, it was like this incredibly insane one-handed dig by Bogner. Then Wildman puts up an incredible, what some of us call tabletop, so like platform out-of-system set that you think is going to go right into the net. I was like, people's ankles are going to get broken. Wrong. Then you see Valencia just with a perfect swing off the block. Like in our gym, we're teaching women to hit off the block high and up, and he did it like textbook. Like I looked over at my team sitting in the front row and wanted to be like, yes, do that, do that. And then to come out just then after the timeout and get an ace after the timeout is just so impressive right now. Sam Marsh.
Sam Marsh out of the timeout. It's been him almost out of every timeout, and he's been perfect on those service attempts right out of timeouts. 9 service aces for Penn State today, up 10-3 in the second set. The train might have got rolling. Jack Bowles a big swing.
And
Marsh got a foot on it, but a kill for Bowles.
Jake Cooper has also checked into the game for the Patriots right now, replacing Richie Hoff currently. But we're going to see that. It was a great set from Troy McDonald on the replay, and Jack Bowles had that one-on-one, just drilling it down the line to the middle blocker playing left-back defense.
Bowles from the service line. Bogner sets back row. Wildman. Great job by Penn State to keep it alive. Bowles. McDonald outside to Cooper. Gets the kill. Cal Fisher frustrated with himself, not able to take it out.
The defense is so impressive for both these teams right now. And I think with both these teams swinging hard, you're just lucky if you can just get an arm out, get underneath it, try to almost have
If you're Sam Marsh, get a foot on it.
Yep.
Bowles, again, misses that one.
For a lot of these serves, like Jack Bowles had, Sam Marsh has, they're putting so much spin on it on the toss that when they're making contact, they want perfect hand contact because that ball will drop off or it might go a little wide like you just saw, but that's aggressive serving. It's got to be like that the whole game. And you expect to miss sometimes, and that's okay.
Bogner
Like
serves
that.
into the net.
Sorry, Bogner.
The announcers jinx a little bit,
My bad.
saying expect to miss.
I don't think it's as prevalent. There's a lot of misses in men's volleyball, but I think it is he knew as soon as he tossed it, he was like, this is a brutal toss. Like, I'm not going to get to it.
Jay Cooper now at the service line for the first time today. He just checked in this set. 11-6, Penn State ahead of George Mason, and another service error. We got 3 in a row. You play high ace, high error, you're going to have some runs where there's a couple errors right in a row.
I was going to say about Jay Cooper entering the game, he did get a good amount of time. He played against Irvine and he played against Pepperdine, contributing a couple of kills, especially against Irvine where he contributed 10 kills. So hoping to get something going with him off the bench.
McDonald sets Hoyos. Looked like it was a little bit long.
Hoyos is calling for a touch, but I was concerned about the set from Troy McDonald's. It just seemed way too far for Hoyos to get his feet underneath that ball.
Valenzi, the sophomore from Boca Raton, Florida, with the serve. McDonald, the quick attack, gets the kill.
That was outstanding from Troy McDonald, and that's honestly, when we're talking about putting good passes, especially free ball passes, you want to put them on the net like that so that Troy McDonald or any setter can be an option and be a threat just like any hitter is.
McDonald with his 16th kill of the year. A decent number from a setter.
I'm having a hard time with Bobby Fowler as the serving sub here at Mason, only because he's gone into the game today, missed both serves, and they're not overly aggressive. We're not looking at this like incredibly tough top spin like Bowles or Marsh has. It's kind of soft, and they're just floating long, no question.
McDonald sets the outside to Hoyos, and the block is there for Penn State.
Sam Marsh was all over that. He got to the outside so quick, and you're going to be able to see just like he gets his hands up and over so fast.
Fisher there as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, excuse me, I actually think that was Markel Fisher. I was giving Sam Marsh all the credit.
McDonald. Bowles gets the kill.
That's a great swing from Bowles. That super sharp cross with the lefty, that is really nice from Jack Bowles.
Troy McDonald back to serve, 15-18. Penn State out front in the second set. Wildman, Bogner, up the middle, Marsh. Diving attempt keeps it alive from Heath. It's sent back over. Set to the outside, Wildman. Haven't heard from him in a little bit. He gets the kill.
I think that actually might have been Wildman's first kill of this set, and it was so crafty. He did just a little bit, probably 60% swing, cross, like right down the line. Jay Cooper had already rotated over thinking he was going into the hard cross court, and it was just an easy ball.
McDonald plays that up with the bump set. The passing just not there for George Mason in this set. A set from Cal Fisher into the block.
Great
Point
block.
to George Mason.
Great block for Little. Way to stay with his attacker, get those hands over quick. But you're right. The passing right now is just not where it should be. They're not taking advantage of the softer Penn State serves, the off-speed serves that they should be able to pass with ease. It's just coming off so harshly from their platforms.
Back row, Valenzi gets the kill. Very clean there from Penn State. In system, Valenzi in the back row. Finds some room. Brett Wildman looking for his 4th service ace of the day. And he'll get it. Timeout, George Mason. The passing is really the difference that I'm noticing, especially in this set. It's really showing up. You look at 2 points ago, before that ace for Penn State, the pass is perfect from Wildman, the set to the back row to Valenzi, everything in system flowing perfectly. On the George Mason side, you're seeing some pass from Heath, some pass from Hoyos, other guys in the back row. It's not giving McDonald options when he's setting the ball.
No, and I think a lot of it is they're getting caught leaning a little bit. They're playing to it, like they're almost moving before they actually see where the serve is going, and then they can't actually get their platform underneath it. The passes that have been really efficient are the ones that they're actually stopped. It's at them, their platform is up, and all they're focusing on is just getting it kind of high to the middle of the court. And I think when you have a young setter like Troy McDonald, like really all you're trying to do is get it high enough and in the middle of the court so he has the options to go outside or into the back row and not even worry about the middle off serve receive, honestly, at this point. But I think right now the passing is just so all over the place. And usually, I will say Mason's passing is pretty good. Like, I think their passing previous matches really keeps them in games. But again, I go back to the fact that they're not taking care of the servers who don't serve hard topspin. I get servers like Wildman who are bringing it every time. Sam Marsh bringing it every time. But not all of them are serving hard topspin. Some of them are serving floaters. And I'm like, let's handle those. Men, like, you should be able to. We have witnessed some great passing from this team. And I think what's hard, too, is usually Richie Hoff is one of their best players, but since he's not producing offensively, he's not on the floor to help with that.
As a coach, in a timeout like that, what do you try to do to fix that passing?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly would tell them to step up in the serve-receive pattern, only because these balls are dropping out so quickly that if they do take a step up, like, they should be close enough to get that ball. None of them are landing on the end line. And I would just say, like, you got to go back to basics. Like, what have we talked about? What have we practiced off the serving machine, which I know Coach Hossack had them doing this week during practice. And honestly, just think about the muscle memory. You've trained your whole life, passed a ton of reps. So I try to think about that and try not to have them focus on it too much. Just think about the things that are going well for them right now and move on, because they need to come back quickly to keep this set in reach.
19-10, Penn State up on George Mason. Sam Marsh to serve. Jack Bowles hammers that one off of Marsh. Bogner tried to keep it alive. Couldn't do it. George Mason needs to go on a run here because they want to steal this set if they can from Penn State, but if they can't do that, they at least want momentum going into a third.
And that was a great start because Marsh was the problem server last time. So to get them out of that rotation immediately off of first swing kill is outstanding for them, and that's what they're going to need to capitalize and keep Jack Bowles behind the service line for as long as they can. Sorry. That's what's tough about talking through the points. Then things happen that you don't want to happen.
Bowles serves that right into the net. Service error, 22-11.
Bogner has both a float serve and kind of a top spin serve, so we'll see which way he's going with this. Top spin.
And he gets the ace. Cooper opted to try to let it go.
Thinking it was going to be out of bounds.
Penn State dominating from the service line.
Right now they have 10 aces to Mason's 0. Which, again, you don't see that often.
Bogner again. Sends that one long. Cooper wisely lets that one sail over his left shoulder, and he'll go back to the service line looking for an ace of his own.
Jay Cooper, honestly, has been very productive for the Patriots off the bench kind of all season long, so I can see the coaching move from Coach Hossack, like to bring him in and try to get something else going. Right now, it just hasn't happened yet.
Bogner sets outside. Fisher couldn't get much on that. McDonald to Cooper up the middle. The block is there for Penn State, and it falls. Penn State did what you like, the lefty on the left side.
Right. I think it was just a little bit, yeah, and you can see Bogner talking to Fisher about it. It was just like a little too fast, or actually it was a little too high, and Fisher went in for a really quick tempo approach. But now Wildman's back in the front row. We'll see. I think Fisher's going back to the right side.
Valenzi. Cooper. McDonald. Hoyos into the block. Tries to keep it alive. Can't do it.
So it's like one thing works for Mason and then the other falls apart. So like that time, Trey Cooper, great pass, and then there's a miscommunication on the set to attack to Hoyos, and all he does is tip into the block. Then in reality, it's like most of the time they're getting a tough pass. Troy McDonald's finding someone and putting it up and trying to make something of it. Okay, another great pass.
Up the middle, Peters is stuffed. Heath tries to keep it alive and does. Peters plays it over. Bogner to Fisher.
And it was out. And now there's a real
Point to George Mason.
You know, I think what's interesting about Penn State, and I think when you get to that level, like you're the #2 team in the country, like things happen, and you could even see their assistant coach just gave the thumbs up, like let it go, like it's okay, like.
Just one point. We still got a big lead in this set. Just take care of your business, and you'll be able to put it away, like Cal Fisher does right there. A nice little off-speed shot gets it to go.
Yep. And again, we've talked about this a little bit. Like now that they're at set point, you just wanted Mason to come through this set with a little bit more momentum, especially because set 1 was fine. Like, I know they lost that set, but like they were close, they kept it in the mix. Like,
Tim Herget serving set point. Not a great pass there from Cooper, but Hoyos missed that one wide. Penn State will take set number 2, 25-13, dominating the Patriots in that set. George Mason talking things out here on the court, trying to put something together to make this comeback. We'll step aside. Right after the break, more EIVA volleyball on ESPN+.
Home ownership. It's a dream that SN Mortgage Company makes into a reality every day for borrowers in Northern Virginia and throughout the Mid-Atlantic. We can meet on your level and help develop a home buying plan for any market conditions. So get connected with one of our loan officers and find out what options might be right for you. Visit snmortgage.com/GoMason to learn more and start your journey home.
When you need medical care, ask Centera Medical Group first. Whether by phone, a virtual visit, or in-office appointment, our offices are open, following strict safety guidelines and implementing additional safety measures to ensure you are safe and comfortable. From minor illnesses to more complex cases, our comprehensive care teams are available 24/7 to deliver the quality, personalized care you need when you need it most. Don't wait to get the care you need. Ask Centera Medical Group first. Schedule your appointment today.
If these times have taught us anything, it's that anything is possible, especially at our public schools. Overcoming great adversity, we salute our teachers and students who brought their A game every day. Whatever tomorrow brings, our commitment to public schools is stronger than ever. A win for education. The Virginia Lottery, $11 billion to Virginia's public schools since 1999.
Welcome back into Eagle Bank Arena. George Mason and #2 Penn State. Penn State jumping all over the Patriots in that second set, taking it 25-13. I'm Josh Yourish here with Coach Aylene Ilkson. And Aylene, it's been super efficient for Penn State, especially in that second set.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's so incredible about Penn State, they just spread it around. I mean, Wildman was the hot hand in set 1. Now Cal Fisher started getting going. Sam Marsh is doing his job. So right now what's great is Wagner has just so many options. Like, he can set anybody, and I think they're going to be very efficient attacking. And that's something that Mason is really having to deal with, and set 2 did not go the way they wanted to, so it's going to be a battle for them certainly in this next set.
And Mason's struggling a little bit with their offensive efficiency. Omar Hoyos, who typically leads the way, hitting well in the negatives today, but it's been their passing that's the bigger problem because they can't get to the offense.
Correct. It's just been so inconsistent right now. It's just sort of like where we're going with this, and some are perfect passes and then they're not getting the kills, but a lot of them are just Penn State serving tough, and Mason's usually very consistent passing has just fallen off. So it'll be interesting sort of to see what Coach Hosek is telling them in the break. You know, I would just say they need to step up a little bit more. They need to understand that they are good passers, that they have shown that. So we will see if they can come out and really settle down and get the passing going, because then I think the offense will follow.
And step one is to just try to take this first set from Penn State, because this is a team that's perfect in the EIVA.
Correct.
They're 9-0. They're at the top of the standings. George Mason falling in there a little bit below, but they've been doing some work as of late, especially with that big win over St. Francis. They're sitting at 3-5.
Right, and I think with the EIVA, you know, this is the rest of their season. There's no other non-conference games, and so they're going to need to push. An upset now, and mind you, it'll take a lot of work to go through to get them to 5, is only prepping them, because they do play a very, very good NJIT team coming up next. And then it's kind of peppered at the end of their season to play Harvard, who also has been doing a good job this season. So I think the EIVA, outside of Penn State, definitely has some toss-ups, and going into their tournament, which is just the top 4, it'll be interesting that Mason needs to really win some games in order to get into that tournament, which they have made every year that they've been in the EIVA. So it should be interesting, but Penn State right now is cruising at the top of the conference, that's for sure.
And even if George Mason isn't able to take the last 3 sets here and steal this and take a big upset, stealing 1 set from a team like Penn State is going to give you so much confidence going into the rest of their schedule.
Right, and as we talked about earlier in the broadcast, Penn State's only lost 9 sets. And to one of them, that was to UCLA, who at the time was number 2 in the country. Another one was to USC, so again, another top 10 team. And so I think taking any sort of momentum away from Penn State, 1, makes other EIVA teams think a little bit more highly of them, and 2, I think it's just a morale boost, period. That's internal and external. I think they can take the set, even push it to 4. I mean, you're doing a good job and seeing that, but there's gonna have to be a real change in what's going on, and right now nobody new is coming off the bench for George Mason. So Coach Hossack's gonna stick with this crew and see if they can come out bettering their passing and more efficient on offense.
It'll be Fisher serving to start for Penn State. The third set underway. Heath, nice pass there to McDonald, outside to Bowles, into the block. Penn State jumped all over that.
That was a
attack
great
from Bowles.
pass from Colin Heath and just didn't have him. Bogner was right there, really set up. And you know what I think's so fun about Penn State? It doesn't matter that they're the number 2 team in the country. It doesn't matter that they're like rolling in this match. They are having just so much fun. Like every point is still the best point for them, which I think just makes it so much more enjoyable for them to watch. Oh boy.
Nice play there to keep it alive. A free ball to Mason, sent over by Cal Fisher. Heath, McDonald, Hoyos. Really good one-handed dig there from Fisher. And a point to Penn State. Brett Wildman. What a dig by Cal Fisher.
Yeah, that one hand, we're just right under it. We're just popping it up. That was one of the better rallies we've seen all day so far.
I've seen Fisher do that a couple times a day where he just kind of throws one arm at it. And I thought it was just kind of a frustration thing because he was frustrated after those ones. That time it was just perfect.
Yeah.
McDonald cross court to Bowles, goes soft. Fisher is there. Bogner sets Wildman behind his head. It's kept alive, Bogner. Now that has to be sent over free, an opportunity for George Mason. Up the middle, and Lucas Little.
That is exactly what George Mason wants. They've now been given 3 balls and 3 free balls in this set alone, and they need to be terminating on them. They need to, again, put Troy up at the net, Troy McDonald's up at the net, able to set all 3 options, and that time was great. Sam Marsh was nowhere to be found against Little.
Hoyos. Fisher from way back. A really nice bump set to Wildman. Fisher again sets to the middle. We go back and forth, kept alive by Penn State. Wildman soft. Long volley developing. McDonald, the back set to Bowles, down the line. Got a touch. The kill.
That was some great defensive efforts, and this play just makes me, all of this makes me exceptionally nervous because it's so tight to the net what's happening. But you can see that was just Bowles doing a great job using the hands of Wildman for that last kill.
Valenzi handled that nicely. Bogner to Marsh, a little bit behind him.
So now you can see Mason even up 1 right now, 3-2, but it's their serve and pass game that is very much helping them. They've had pretty good passes every time Penn State has served, and they're just a little bit more in system, giving Penn State a more troubling time, both blocking and defending.
Here's Hoyos. Forced an overpass, and they take care of it. It's Cooper.
This is what they want. And we've seen this before where Hoyos can go on a little bit of a run. His serve gives other teams some real trouble, and then it's just they're out of system. It gives Mason's block more time to set up and hopefully getting Mason a little bit more free balls.
Eagle Bank falls silent, awaiting the serve from Omar Hoyos. And that goes right into the net. Puts an end to a 4-0 run for George Mason, the longest they've had today. Still ahead 4-3 with Brett Wildman back to serve. He has 4 aces today, 7 kills, hitting .462. Not to mention 4 digs and a block. Stuff in the stat sheet. Cooper gets the kill.
And that started with a good pass from Colin Heath. I know I was really concerned about him earlier in this match, and this is the kind of play they'll need from him, just to be able to get Troy McDonald in a place to set whoever they want, and Jay Cooper just did a really nice job getting up and over to get that kill.
Little barely missed that one on the back line, went hard for the back line. Service error, 5-4. But this is a good start to the set for George Mason, especially after what was pretty much a debacle in set number 2. I went into the announcer's dictionary for that one.
Yeah. Great pass from Colin Heath again.
Cooper off the block, played up. Bogner up the middle, Ezionu gets the kill.
I think that they've been waiting to get Ezionu going a little bit more. He was pretty quiet in the second set, but you can see, honestly, he's so tall and has such a high reach that Bogner has to wait a bit before he sets it, and Ezionu waits a bit too, just because they have to set him a little bit higher before he can rip one down into the 116.
You're going to mention my use of debacle. I got to say, you did a nice job there with Ezionu, using it twice.
Well, now we're in the third set.
We've got it cleaned up by set number 3. That serve misses long. Patriots ahead 6-5. Jack Bowles back to serve. Bogner had to hustle over to the near side for it. And Valenzi with a really nice kill. 6-6.
You can see right now, they're playing Omar Hoyos in middle back, and he shades a little bit to one side or the other, depending on what he's reading from the hitter. However, in that situation, it's just they're doing such a good job of sort of mixing up their shots. It's hard to read on defense.
Hoyos wisely lets that one sail over the end line. Jay Cooper will serve, 7-6. I'm sure George Mason happy to trade points. Bogner up the middle, Ezionu, kept alive. Bogner, the bump set. Fisher from the back row.
Wow. That, honestly, is what makes Cal Fisher an outstanding player. That to get his feet underneath that ball from kind of a tabletop set from Bogner, and you can see how far he needs to come into the court to make this happen. And he just gets under it and still can swing with real power on it. It's so impressive.
Valenzi. Heath with an overpass, but it's kept alive. Ezionu couldn't get enough on it. Sam Peters up the middle gets the kill.
I'm surprised Ezeonu didn't just put that one away. He was well above everybody else at the net.
Seemed to be concerned about staying off the net a little bit because that overpass was very tight to the net. Fisher hammers that one off of Jack Bowles. We've seen a lot of the off-speed stuff from Cal Fisher, but set number 3, he's done messing around. He's putting big swings on this ball.
Yeah, I think Penn State is a little bit like, they don't want Mason hanging around. They're ready to just get back, you know, to State College as soon as possible.
8-8 now. Ezeonu. That float serve. Cooper to McDonald. Hoyos off the block.
That's a great swing off the block, and also Fisher was in the net simultaneously. Sometimes I'm just watching the down official because you think it's a kill, but really it's a net violation. And again, this is exactly what George Mason wants to do. This is such a better look for them than last set. This is much more reminiscent, of set 1. Colin Heath is so close to getting that ball, and that was, again, Cal Fisher going off speed, but if Colin Heath can just stay on his feet, he can absolutely dig that ball. Instead, he went laying out for a pancake, and it wasn't going to work.
Cal Fisher back to serve, 9-9. Cooper plays it up, McDonald over to it, Bowles from the far side. Very tight, and Bogner gets the kill.
That's Bogner's first, I think, kill of the day, and it was so crafty. Again, it was a great pass, just high and tight, and he was able to put it over. And when you have good middles that the opposing middle will jump with, sometimes you can get that open net like Bogner just did.
And that's Bogner's 24th kill of the year. From that setter spot, make it number 25. Back-to-back kills for the setter. Put a serious swing on that one. Timeout, George Mason. We'll step aside. Penn State looking to pull away a little bit. They're up 11-9 in set number 3. Back with more EIVA men's volleyball after this.
When you need medical care, ask Centera Medical Group first. Whether by phone, a virtual visit, or in-office appointment, our offices are open, following strict safety guidelines and implementing additional safety measures to ensure you are safe and comfortable. From minor illnesses to more complex cases, our comprehensive care teams are available 24/7 to deliver the quality, personalized care you need when you need it most. Don't wait to get the care you need. Ask Centera Medical Group first. Schedule your appointment today.
Welcome back here on ESPN Plus Men's College Volleyball. Number 2, Penn State up 11-9 in set number 3 on George Mason. I'm Josh Yourish here with Coach Aylene Ilkson. Penn State taking the first 2 sets. Looking to close the Patriots out in 3. Cal Fisher to the service line. The Nittany Lions on a 3-0 run, but that'll come to an end. Good use of the timeout by Coach Hossack to put an end to that run.
And now we're back to Mason's strongest rotation that they're going to want to stay in for a little bit.
Hoyos will look to go on some sort of a serving run. He's certainly capable of doing that. Near the tops in the EIVA in terms of service aces. That time couldn't dig it out.
Quick reaction time for our line judge, who just took that one right off the shoulder. He was ready. I love it.
That was heading right for his face, too, so able to duck out of the way.
Yeah.
Slip that one.
He's a professional. I mean, he's
done this before.
He's called many of our games as well, so he knows.
Brett Wildman, the senior from Virginia Beach, former EIVA Player of the Year. It's kept alive. Bowles right into the block. Marsh fired up about it. Got some help there from Will Coons.
That was a tough play from Bowles. It was a quick transition to try to get off the net and get set on that one. You can see you can only take 2 steps, and Marsh is all over him, along with Will Coons.
Will Coons, guess where he's from?
Oh my God, Pittsburgh? I don't even know, of course.
Pittsburgh,
If you're
Pennsylvania.
if you're asking me about it, then it's gotta
I'm
be
not going to let it slip by, and this is great with Penn State. They got more people from Pittsburgh than we typically get. Lucas Little will serve.
There's 2 Long Islanders on the Penn State roster. They're currently not playing, but I'm okay with that.
Well, we'll make sure to give them a shout out
Right,
when they
if
get
they
in.
get in, I'm all about it.
Sam Marsh. We've seen the Nittany Lions go on a couple of runs today in this rotation with Marsh serving. Look to do that again. McDonald will set Cooper. Attacking error on George Mason, point to Penn State.
You know, after that first set, you can really see how Penn State just amped it up. Like, you know, in the current set right now, they have 9 kills on 1 error and on 6 total in the match, and a lot of those came from set 1.
They seemed like they were in kind of low gear and cruise control in the first set, able to pull away a little bit at the end. But they've got it rolling since then, trying to pull away in the third set. The Patriots doing a better job of hanging around, and they've cleaned up their passing somewhat. That certainly helped.
And I think Coach Hasek right there getting up off the bench, yelling at his team, let's go, let's go. He's just trying to get them a little bit more fired up. I think sometimes they're just looking to play cool and calm, but I don't think that helps them when they really need some momentum back on their side.
Bogner to the middle, Ezionu with a lot of room in that back left corner.
Ezionu just up and over that block. He's just cutting so easily over the Mason block right now.
On the year, hitting over 500 is Toby Ezionu. Seems like they have him whenever they want him up the middle. Super high efficiency. Bowles is stuffed.
And actually only 2 weeks ago, Ezionu was the defensive player of the week for the EIVA, so he's just doing on both sides right now, offensive and defense. You can see the Penn State block fully formed right there. Together, no daylight at all.
Michael Valenzi helping out Ezionu that time. Ezionu takes care of that overpass, says thank you very much, and hammers it home. Jay Hasek, frustrated, calls a timeout. Not happy with that run. It's a 3-0 run now for Penn State, up 18-12. Take a look at the replay. Cooper just a little bit too far, and Ezionu gonna take care of that just about every time.
Yeah, I think looking ahead, you know, Penn State next weekend's going to face off against a pretty good Harvard team, and then after that they have Sacred Heart, St. Francis Brooklyn, and NJIT with the College of Charleston before they for sure head into the EIVA tournament as most likely the hosts, as opposed to Mason, who's facing a good NJIT team next weekend, but thankfully at home, which is always a help, back in the rack, and then followed by St. Francis College Brooklyn, University of Charleston twice, Fairleigh Dickinson and Princeton and Harvard at the end. So kind of a mixed bag for Mason coming down the stretch with the EIVA matches. And especially at the middle to bottom of the EIVA, it's kind of a toss-up, which makes it that much more exciting and anxious for those trying to get into the tournament and playing to get those Final Four spots towards the end of the month. So we shall see how both of these teams kind of play out the next couple weeks as they solidify, you know, their standing in the EIVA.
And Penn State, we've talked about their efficiency. Obviously, they've been cruising through the EIVA, but let's take a look at the blocks, the defensive numbers. 11 blocks for Penn State, just 1 for George Mason. Just not measuring up on that end.
No, and I don't think, like, other than the middles, it's not like they're so oversized or anything like that. It's just the quickness, and honestly, I think it's also when the passing was bad for George Mason, it made their offense so predictable and let Penn State's block really set up, as you can see right here. Just Ezionu is way over the net. No light at all.
That's some excellent producing, pulling up those block numbers, and then you get a block right there, number 12 for Penn State. They're on top of it up in the booth as well. Cooper.
I mean, Shea Cooper has done as much as possible coming off the bench. I think he was a little slow offensively, but he has found his stride, and he just touches so high and is really available to hit around and over some blocks. So I think he has done as much as he could coming off the bench.
And he's someone who's really developed in his time at George Mason. I remember his freshman year, he was more of a serving specialist. You'd see him come off the bench in that role pretty much exclusively, but since then he's gotten much more responsibility and is kind of the sub that Jay Hossack will go to when things aren't going right. And he's done a nice job today. This one heading our way.
We did it. We're okay. The TV survived.
Everything survived over here. Some good hustle by the Patriots.
That was a smart play that Hoyos was going for. He knew he couldn't get his feet to it and take a real swing, so he tried to use it off the block. It just didn't work out that well.
19-3 Penn State. In set number 3, Valenzi. Nice pass there from Heath. Hoyos off the block, gets the kill. His 4th kill. Penn State's really found a way to shut down Hoyos today.
But I could just see Hoyos immediately goes back to McDonald and is like, just keep giving me the ball, keep giving me the ball. Because I do believe Hoyos is one of those players that he can work out of it no matter what, and if they just keep giving him the ball, he'll be able to do it on his own. Just with the amount of attempts he's had tonight, you know, isn't a ton. It's at 16, which is kind of low for him, honestly, in just sheer attempts.
It'll be Tim Herget. He's come on as a serving specialist a couple times today. Pretty nice one there. McDonald will go all the way cross court looking for Hoyos. Kept alive off the block. Bogner. And a big kill there.
That was a great play from Bogner, bringing Wildman just inside a little bit, not a traditional outside set, making the block move a little bit, not sure where they were going to set him, and he's just so strong and has done such a good job tonight. Both him and Fisher, 8 kills apiece, hitting 500 and 438 respectively.
Put up there by Herget. Wildman just missed that one.
I think everybody was a little confused at the first swing on that play, whether it went off the antenna or it just went off the net, shaking the antenna pretty hard, so there's a little bit of a delay on the Penn State side. But Patriots ball, and they're going to need to make a push right now as Penn State leads 22-15 and leads the match 2-0 currently.
Up the middle and a kill for Marsh.
Marsh is just, I think what's great about the Penn State middles is that they do their jobs at all times. If they find them, they're usually terminal and they're putting it away, but primarily they stick to their job, which is middle blocker. And they're just moving quickly, they get their hands over the net fast, and really closing a lot of blocks for Penn State.
Cal Fisher looking to close things out for Penn State. Misses that one just long, went hard for that back line. Trying to get an ace to add to his stat line. Does have one, looking for another there. As Penn State inching ever closer to taking this match in 3 sets. George Mason still with some life. And the man you want at the service line, if you're gonna go on a big run, they would need it right now. It's Omar Hoyos. Eerily quiet here in Eagle Bank Arena. Wow. And an ace. Stone cold from Omar Hoyos, not fazed by the silence.
And you can see that's the first ace of the day from George Mason, I think, or we are close to it being one.
That's number 1, the first service ace for George Mason today. Finally doing some push-ups. Their arms warmed up on the sideline. They always do push-ups for those service aces. 23-17 now. Here's Hoyos. Wildman, Bogner, Fisher, down line. Missed it. 23-18.
George Mason's going to want to just make Penn State keep playing the ball. They want to put it on them over and over and let them make the mistakes. Silence again.
Bogner, cross court. Wildman, stuffed, but it's kept alive. Bogner to Wildman again. Hoyos with a diving attempt, keeps it alive. Bowles has to send over free. Bansal had a tough time with that. Wildman, off the block, gets the kill.
And you can see, so that last set from Troy McDonald is exactly why the officials didn't want to call the early lift on Wildman, just because they want to let the players play. They don't want to involve themselves in this set.
Especially if they call that early, gonna have to call it late. Now match point. Brett Wildman at the service line, the Nittany Lion faithful, building the slow clap here. Played up by Cooper. McDonald, Bowles, kept alive. Bogner hustles over. Cal Fisher, kept alive. McDonald, Cooper goes soft, gets a kill. Mason fights it off the first time.
That was such a smart swing by Che Cooper. You could see him, he's coming in really fast, and then he sees how the set is really high, and he just is so smart getting into that corner, and Wildman cannot get there for the dig.
24-19, match point again. Little, good serve. Bogner up the middle, Wildman. Dug out by Hoyos, Little's over. They'll have to send over free. Bantle. Up the middle, Marsh, kept alive by Little. Cooper puts a swing on it, Wildman plays it up. Outside Fisher, cross court. Cooper, big swing, is stuffed. Penn State will do it. Cole Bogner shakes his head, says not today. Penn State takes it in 3 sets. Set number 3 goes 25-19. Cooper right into the block, the setter and the middle blocker Marsh right there. Penn State surgical today.
Yeah, I mean, they were just lights out from start to finish, honestly. They just were so efficient, hitting 373 on the match, 33 kills, 8 errors, and that is what you get from the number 2 team in the country. They just don't make mistakes. And on top of that, their defensive side of the ball was great. They had a ton of digs. Their blocking was super efficient. So you can see, you know, the EIVA, somebody is going to have a very, very good 2 days to beat them in the tournament in a couple weeks.
That'll do it for us here from Eagle Bank Arena. So for Aylene Ilkson, I'm Josh Yourish saying so long from Fairfax. Penn State takes it 3-0 over George Mason. EIVA men's volleyball on ESPN+.